up, everybody? Oh my goodness. Hello! Welcome to the stream, everybody. How's it going? Let's do a quick shout out to everybody who's in here. Thanks so much, Zovek. Absolute Evil, my man. He does amazing VR Beat Saber moves. Legendary Shadow, Alex, Yaj, Devin, Michael, hey Andrew, how's it going? Denise, how's it going, everybody? So, we got quite the eventful stream today. First up, waiting in the mix is Marco from Access the Animus. We're gonna have a very non-spoilery conversation about Valhalla, and maybe partway through the conversation we'll get into the game a little bit more, but after that conversation kind of wraps up, or maybe it goes for a while, we don't know. It's gonna be pretty casual. It's gonna be pretty fun. Once we do that, definitely gonna get into the actual gameplay, maybe show off a build or two. Load up some questions. If you have questions about Valhalla, be sure to put them into the chat. That way we can answer those questions. So I hope you're all having a wonderful Friday. I know I am. So let me go ahead and message Marco now and see if he's ready to go. All right. Hey, how's it going, Michael D? All right, let's get this going here. Hey, Marco, can you hear me? Awesome. I believe so, yeah. Let me turn my music down just a little bit and then get the right OBS transition. Boom! You can pull up the stream if you need to look. I can't like share my video with you through Discord, but how's it going, man? I know it's been... That's awesome. I know we chatted like a little bit a while back, but like how have you been with like everything going on? Any fun stuff going on, or still COVID? Mm-hmm. All right, 1 second. They don't hear you. Yeah, apparently they don't hear you. So we'll let me clear that up. Bad OBS on my end. I had it all synced up, everybody. Technical difficulties. It's all good. We'll figure it out. We're gonna do this over here, and this. Or wait, no. We got it. Don't worry about it, guys. Once it's clear, it'll be all perfect. Let's go into here. Cable A is what we want. Or, yeah, we'll do this one, I think. This should work now. Yeah, let me just move it back over here. They should hear you now. Can you guys hear them? Michael D said in $5. Here's some money for tech support. Appreciate it. Can you guys hear him clearer now? Still can't hear. I don't believe that. I see it right here. We'll try it one more time.
But you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. All the things are set up. That's so goofy. I'm gonna have to track this down super fast. Oh my gosh. Here's what we're gonna do.
We're
oh,
make
now
this
you
work.
can? Alright, we're good. We're good.
Yes.
I got it. Perfect. Away from technical difficulties here, and we'll exit out of my settings menu there. Awesome. Wow. We'll get it going officially now, guys. I'll have to cut this out and stuff. Oh my goodness, that's so funny.
Oh, what
Awesome.
matter
So,
is it working?
what was that?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, I don't
yes, we
know. What
see it.
matters is that it's working now. So,
Perfect. We'll just let it be, and I won't touch anything, and it'll work perfectly.
right.
Yeah. No, it has been like a pretty crazy year, but like we've got Valhalla now. Are you interested in any other games coming out? Or are you pretty like focused on
Uh,
Valhalla
I
primarily?
in this specific time frame, I will be focusing on Valhalla to also create content
Mm-hmm.
for Access the Animus, obviously. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested in Cyberpunk and on the new Spider-Man. I don't have the proper consoles or PC to play them yet. But I mean, I can expect I will focus on Valhalla for quite some time. So
Well,
by the
yeah.
time I'm finished with, I, I hope I will have also the consoles to try those games for sure.
Yeah, I tried buying a PS5 yesterday. It was a no-go. The Walmart kicked me off the website several times, so I'm gonna have to wait
Um,
before I can try one of those. But it makes sense
yeah,
because honestly, I this isn't to your horn. I'm assuming nearly everyone knows who you are and who Access the Animus is. But just in case there's that one rare soul who doesn't, like, if you want any Assassin's Creed news or information about literally anything from the video game to the comics to all kinds of every single part of the franchise, Access the Animus is the number one news site for me. I
oh man,
honestly
thank
get
you.
most of my information from you guys, so uh,
Man, wow, we're so happy to help.
yeah, you guys make it a lot more exciting. So my first impression or question is like, I know it's a really
Yeah,
generalized thing, is like, what is, obviously we're going to try to do our best to do no spoilers, and we're going to try really hard not to, but like like what is your impression with Valhalla so far? Just like maybe a brief, like from your experience, because you've played a lot of the games, you've read a lot of the comics. I'm just curious.
yes. Okay, so I have played, let's say, the intro and 3 narrative arcs. So I'm not really that much into the story yet. So I wouldn't be able to spoil even if I wanted to. So yeah, my impression is that already in the early part of the game, there's a lot for every kind of fan, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure that there's going to be even more as you progress through the game. And by that I mean there's elements for the fans that are more interested into like the gameplay aspect, combat. But there's also a lot of elements for the longtime fans that maybe I mean, I've been a hardcore fan, following the franchise for since its inception, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the elements that I didn't really like about the last release of the franchise, Odyssey, stealth wasn't. I didn't really enjoy stealth in there. Also, the narrative and stuff. There's a lot of elements for hardcore fans as well. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm enjoying about the game right now is that it feels like this. Only feels because I haven't gone through the entirety of the game, but
Mm-hmm.
it feels like this can be the actual game that brings the community together because it has like very nice and strong points for every kind of fan, even like from the casual to the long-time hardcore fan. There's everything in there, and there's a lot of that as well. So it's not just quality, but also quantity.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just finished a arc in this isn't spoiler. Like I think it was not Leicestershire. It was some other region. And I did it entirely stealth because like the game I came into for the Assassin's Creed franchise was Assassin's Creed 2. I went back and played Assassin's Creed 1, but I think I was in high school at the time. It's got to be over a decade now
Yeah.
since Assassin's Creed 2 came out, and I just remember loving like the exploration of moving upward around like Rome and all that stuff, and then to kind of have, I see these paths laid out in Valhalla where like you can take like a very stealthy approach to pretty much anything, or you can take a very like Viking brute force approach also. And I've been having a lot of fun kind of bouncing between those. Have you done a lot of the combat stuff? Do you feel yourself maybe enjoying the combat a little bit more, or are you kind of playing more stealth like?
I'm doing both. Like I'm more, at least I try to be more of a stealthy player. But I always want to try all the systems in the game. So I'm really enjoying the combat in that it feels more varied compared to Odyssey. And there's a lot of elements in the game that provide variety for combat. So it's not just the abilities themselves, but also the dual wielding and the combinations that you can have, but also the different kind of enemies that there's so many different enemies, so you can have so many different strategies to face them. And there's also like different let's say set pieces. So it's not just standard combat. There can be raids and assaults where you can try different strategies for your combat approach. And all of them, apart from the assaults, they can also be done stealthily. So there's like the last two games of the franchise have tried to provide this sort of like choice in approach, but they felt more focused towards combat and maybe the archery or hunter kind of side, and a bit less focused on stealth. It felt, I wouldn't go with bare bone, but just a bit more than that. And now instead there's like the branch in the skill tree for stealth. It really feels more focused, and it really gives you variety approach even within the stealth attempt that you can have. So you can have different tactics within the stealth approach, as you can have different variety with the combat. So it's really satisfying, at least for what I've tried now. And I haven't felt like the game was repetitive in any situation, and I've played around 35 hours now.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So
I've also I totally agree with you. Like the thing that's like been pretty impressive to me from like, so like for example in Odyssey there was a lot of like, there was an assassin ability tree, but like it was very like mythical. Like they had rush assassination, which was like you just kind of like teleport to like 5 different people and instantly assassinate them. And like the arrangement of enemies were kind of laid out in a way where I felt like in Odyssey, like you had to try really hard to like actually be a stealthy character at times, and so it kind of pushed you to kind of resulting like inevitably if you entered a fort at some point you were going to get like attacked by everybody in there at some point, no matter how hard you tried. And so like the introduction of like the stealth difficulty, I think is like an interesting one. So if people want to have a more challenging stealth experience, they can do that, or a more forgiving one. I really enjoyed that, but also like the way they've done the skill tree, like this is my RPG side of me, like kind of speaking here, but like moving into the assassin side of like the skill tree, like all the different skill sets, like the axe throwing one, they all feel like relatively, they're still fantasy because this is a video game, but it's not like like rush assassination where you're like teleporting to 5 people. You're like instant assassinating a large enemy with like the quick time event, and then you're like throwing an axe to hit another person, and it feels really satisfying.
Absolutely. It feels surely more grounded than Odyssey was. And that's intentional, or at least like the devs have been mentioning that they've tried to have this game like to have it way more grounded in almost every aspect. And it's really nice. Well, like the the chain assassination while throwing the axes, it doesn't feel really silent when you watch, when you look at it, but it's satisfying. I'm gonna give you that. Like it's really satisfying when you do that. Like I just unlocked the skill, and it's pretty like it's very satisfying.
It isn't quite. I guess like the one thing that's missing that like was really fun in AC2 was like when two enemies were standing next to each other and you like double
Yeah.
assassinated them.
Yeah.
It's kind of supposed to be that, but not quite. But the
Yeah.
it's silent
Yeah.
when there's two people who are there. When it's two enemies, if you jump down on four enemies and do the axe throwing assassination, you're gonna get everyone's attention. But
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so another thing that the marketing team and like people on who have worked on the game have really been pushing social stealth. And I know that like that was a big part of the past games. I remember lots of missions where you kind of have to maneuver through the crowd, try to blend in, and try to get closer to your target. And there's a lot of social stealth mechanics in this game, but at the same time, I feel like I've used it a couple times, but I feel like it's just it's not quite on par with the old games. I don't know if you feel similarly about the social stealth feature at all.
Social self. I yeah, I can agree with that. In that, I mean, I love that the element is back. There are some the various stations where you can just hide and have a look at how the enemies move and what's their pattern. I think it's a very nice step in the right direction because there's more interactions in terms of social stuff that you can do compared to the very old games. But at the same time, there's also room for improvement in that you can hide in all these stations, but there's still the tiny little elements of being able to assassinate from the social stealth station where you're hiding. Like you're sitting on a bench, you can assassinate a guard and put the guard to sit on the bench while you move away. Mm-hmm. And I was so much hoping to be able to do this again in this game. Maybe, hopefully in the next one. But in this case, you cannot do that, and they might spot you if other guards are close. Mm-hmm. But it's a very nice start, and I like the idea that is tied to social stealth. The idea of the distrust area, because it's not a red zone, but you get to this zone where you know that you have to be stealthy and move slowly, and that really much conveys the feeling of being an assassin. Moving slowly through a town, looking at your targets without actually going for them yet. Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. I really love how the game conveys that feeling, and that has been it's been quite some time since that was in AC. Yeah. I'm gonna go and say since Unity or Syndicate, probably Unity.
Yeah.
And so it's so nice to see that back.
I definitely I've been enjoying it. At the same time, I definitely miss the like moving through the crowd, like even the animation, like when you kind of like shove people to the side. Because like in this game, you don't. There's not really there is like groups of monks that you can like join in on, which is kind of fun. But I don't know if you've done that yet.
Yes, I've tried that. Like 1 hour before the stream, I was infiltrating just a village, and like to get within the church where there was I think some bracers or something. You had to get a key, and the key was like it had like 4 or 5 guards around it, and there was like this group of monks, and you could like hide within the monks, and they were walking all around the church, and at some point they also walked by the key, and then their path also moved towards the door where you can use the key. So it felt a bit scripted, but at the same time, it felt really nice because you moved amidst the guards, and there were a lot of them. So you could mess up because you're still controlling Eivor while you are amidst the monks. So you could still mess up, and so it's still pretty tense while you're doing that. So while doing that, it's kind of interesting. The game is still missing, the various groups of people talking to each other, and where you can hide. That's from the past games, and I think that's still connected to how the NPCs now, since Origins, they have their own, let's say, schedule throughout the day. So they go from a building to another, they do their own stuff. So being
like
able to also make them,
they like to show up in the background of the cutscenes too. Have you noticed that?
yeah, absolutely. So sometimes they ruin the cutscenes as well because they're doing their own stuff. like that guard that was pissing during the Shadia the Shadia cutscene in Origins, like where the Shadia, there was this kid who died, and the mom was super sad because her daughter had died, and I hope I'm not spoiling this here, but it's been like 3 years. And in the background, there's this guard pissing in the while the mom is grieving her daughter, and it was like, well, that was like, but yeah, like it's interesting in itself, because if you follow an NPC, you can actually see them doing their own stuff throughout the day. But at the same time, I think that this is interesting in itself, but it's very difficult to match that with trying to have NPCs gathering to allow for even more social stealth options. I think that's what the devs had said in the last few years, but at least social stealth is there. So
yeah.
I
might, while we're talking, show a little bit off of the game while we're kind of talking here, but I had like the NPCs on their own path thing is kind of funny. Is like, I was talking to like Ivar at one point in the storyline, and like, you know how you can use drunks to kind of distract guards? One of them kind of stumbled into the background of one of the cutscenes, and I think I got it recorded. It's kind of funny, but oh no, I'm gonna die. Yeah, so here we have like lure drunks. This is one of my favorite social stealth cities if you ever want to check out. So there's like a bunch of guards over there. I don't know if you've visited this city yet.
Not yet, no. I'm having a look, and
it's in Essex. It's called Colster. And there's a Hidden Ones Bureau there where you get the cloak, the Hidden Ones cloak. And there's like a whole shopping area with just like tons of guards and like social stealth areas. So if you want to like test out all the different social stealth type things, there's also a fun mission involving social stealth in this city as well that I won't spoil, but there's a lot of different things you can do in here. Those two guys over there are gonna get me, but oh no, see, and now I'm so bad. I gotta get out of here. I messed it up. I was trying to blend in with the drug there, but now I have to get out of here. So one of my main questions I actually wanted to switch to away from like the social stealth stuff is, so is there, I'm curious, I'm not as, so I like all the lore and all the stuff. I follow it to a degree, maybe not quite to your expertise. So like, I have a question about, is there a history with Basim before this game in Hytham?
No. The Basim and Hytham are new characters.
Okay.
There's a chance that I'm not spoiling here because like I said, I just tried like 3 narrative arcs, but there's a chance that they might have ties to how we have, like, to the assassins as we have seen them in AC1, because we are let's say 300 years from the events from AC1. So no, we haven't known anything about them in the past. So they're new characters, but they might have ties to both the Hidden Ones as we have known them from Origins. In that we can, through them we can see how the Hidden Ones have evolved from ancient Egypt. And maybe they can be, the missing, well, a link that brings towards the assassins as we know them from AC1. Because as of now, even in the events of Valhalla, the assassins are still named the Hidden Ones.
Yeah.
Uh, while they have their insignia, there are, let's say, documents in the game that discuss the tenets of the creed, but they are still not called the Brotherhood of Assassins or the Assassin Brotherhood yet. They call themselves the Brotherhood, but not the Assassins yet. And
I noticed that.
that's also because that ties into the assassins in AC1 are, let's say, there are the game's version of the Hashashin, which are an actual historical group that historically existed back then in the 10th and 11th century. So basically, I think Darby mentioned in an interview that they wanted to very much focus to tie the creation of the assassins and the Templars, as we know them from AC1, to the birth of their respective orders in real history. So it would be incorrect to call the assassins in the game before the time where they were actually called like that in actual history, basically. So that's why we call them hidden ones for now.
Yeah, I'm totally excited. Again, no spoilers, but like I don't know, it definitely seems like at the end of the storyline, people have probably already finished the game, so that we may sound ridiculous making speculation. But the I definitely would like to see some sort of like precursor to the Assassins and the Templars, but I'm assuming there's going to be at least some of that towards the end. I've got maybe a couple arcs before I finish the game. So I don't even I'm not quite sure all the details yet either, but I've just been curious because he seems like such an awesome character, and I see so many people loving him from like a lot of the community, and I was curious. I'm like, this character, like I don't know, I'm connected to him in such a way that I was like, did he appear in a past game or something like that? But apparently not.
It's not the case. I think that the community is loving Basim especially more than Hytham because, well, it's been quite some time since we have seen proper assassins. Because like the main game for Origins, Bayek was not an assassin up until the last few minutes when the hidden ones are formed. And obviously Odyssey predates Origins, so there weren't any assassins or hidden ones. So it's been 3 years since we have seen a proper assassin with the robes, with the white and red robes, the classic or classic visuals of the assassins. And also, if you look at Basim, he kind of reminds of old Ezio from Revelations when you look at him in like his physical traits. So I think the community, especially the hardcore community, but also the community in general, they already feel connected to him because of that. And also he has that smirk in some cutscenes that makes you love him like immediately like that. So
yeah,
I think that also
he does have that smirk. That's definitely a very enticing smirk. It makes me curious too. I know like that this is very like, again, speculative. We're trying not to do spoilers. Again, neither of us have finished the game, so if you have finished the game, don't spoil it in the chat for anybody. But I'm super curious with all these like abandoned hidden ones bureaus across England and like the Roman ruins. Like, is there any precedence in like past games or content from the games or anything that kind of what were the hidden ones doing in England originally with the Romans, and then why did they disappear? I'm curious if that's actually something we already know or if that's something we'll learn about further along in the story.
I think we'll learn about what the Hidden Ones did in Britain throughout the game more than past lore. We did know a bit of how the Hidden Ones moved throughout Europe, uh, from the events of Origins to the, let's say, to the events of AC1. But into, like, for what concerns Britain, I think that's a time frame where they, I mean, that was sort of like a blank spot in the history of the Assassins and Templars. So that's where I think, where Darby and his team were able to find a lot of, great area, or let's say just a white page to draw upon. They actually, in the marketing campaign, they actually said something like the history of the Roman Empire. So that's roughly the 1st century to the 5th century AD. That's where the Hidden Ones were in Britain, and so basically you can find documents of what they did during that time in Britain, in Valhalla. And after that, they had to, leave the island, and so basically what you're doing in the game is the Templars, or rather the Order of the Ancients, have established roots in England for the last 5 centuries. So you have to work really hard to remove their hold over the island.
And that's why
So
Basim has arrived, and Hytham is like, their intention is to kind of pull back, which makes sense. That's kind of what they say like at the beginning of the game. I'm also kind of curious a little bit about like their. It seems like Basim has knows something about Sigurd and Eivor that they don't know about themselves a little bit. Like we might be entering very spoilery territory that we don't know about, but that is very something that I'm excited to learn more about in the main storyline, is the fact that Basim gives Eivor the hidden blade, and then Hytham's a little upset about it, and then Basim's trust me. So there's something interesting going on with Eivor that we don't know, a mystery behind why the Hidden Ones want her.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, because I feel too that there's something more to Basim that he's not showing. So I'm still not trusting him 100%, even if he's he has the visuals of the assassins, the movement of the assassin, and whatnot. But the nice thing throughout the franchise is that, and that has been shown throughout the franchise in the games and the books and whatnot, is that there's no good and bad guy in this millennial war. So it's not like the assassins are the good guys and the Templars are the bad guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if Basim did something unexpected towards the end, or halfway through the game, because the assassins are following their interests as much as the Templars are doing, and that's in every AC story. So it's not all the assassins are doing a positive job and changing the world, while the baddies, the Templar baddies, are working to ruin it. It's not like that. So it's pretty interesting to see what the Hidden Ones are up to. Surely giving the hidden one, the hidden blade to Eivor, it is unexpected in that I would expect the Hidden One to say, hey, this is not a member of the Brotherhood. Why are you giving them such an important symbolic object to them? So so yeah, maybe he knows more about Sigurd and Eivor. For sure about Sigurd, because like they have met before
Yeah,
the events of the
definitely.
so there's
There is
uh,
like a lot of gray area, it seems like,
yes,
being developed because like I remember starting like playing again like AC2 and Revelations. There was a very explicit like Assassin's good, Templar bad, but I think since like AC3 and like Black Flag, like they started to, you would know this better, but it feels to me at least playing those games that like they started to introduce this gray area where there is like um there's good assassins and bad assassins and like good Templars and bad Templars to a degree, which is like very interesting because you don't know who you're gonna get in a game like this a little bit.
I'm
Do
gonna
you?
say that there have been games that have been better at showing this, and others that haven't really performed in that. Like AC1
Yeah.
was very good at conveying this because every time you kill the target, they felt like they really were working toward their objective, and they really believed in what they were doing. And so sometimes you felt like, am I really doing good in killing these targets? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
AC2 and especially Brotherhood, especially in Brotherhood, like some of the targets feel pretty, classic villain kind of baddies,
Mm-hmm.
Uh, um, so, and then sometimes they tried to salvage this kind of lack of depth to the targets in the books by saying that that was like a dark time for the Templar Order with Rodrigo Borgia because they were after power rather than the objectives of the order and something like that. I think that Revelations and AC4 do a better job in showcasing a bit more of depth to the targets and especially what the Templars are doing, and in showing that they're not just bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Syndicate again played it pretty easy, I would say, probably because like in my mind, Syndicate was like the next in line after Unity's failure in terms of like how it was perceived by the community and the press and whatnot because of the issues in terms of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that also the story in Syndicate had to, some the historical part of the story felt a bit like they were playing it safe. Still interesting, but I don't know. It didn't always involve me in terms of the Assassins versus Templar kind of story. And I think that Valhalla is going back to a bit to how it was in AC1 and maybe AC4, in that there is depth to the characters and
Yeah, I've
both.
been. Keep
Yeah,
going.
sorry.
Sorry, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I meant that there's more depth, both in terms of the people that you believe to be your allies, but you're not super sure, and the people that are your targets, but there
Mm-hmm.
might be depth to them as well. So they are actual, real people, and not just the classic baddie that you find in standard video games.
Yeah, the level of mystery in this game is like
Yeah,
something that like I am loving a lot. Like the fact that like, well, first off, it's a feature. Like there's literally in every region there's a certain amount of mystery. I know that sorry, she's gone out and done all the mysteries. You guys are trying to like document all of them, and so there's like a ton of like those, but like not just that mechanic, but like from the storyline, like from the beginning, like I don't know, there's just so much I don't know that I want to, that it just kind of like drags me along. Like um being a combat kind of like I'm a dual AC fan in the sense that I love like the storylines. It really pushed me into like filmmaking, but at the same time I have this like RPG combat side to me where I really like to min max stats and stuff. It's kind of fun. And I it's been really interesting with this game is like I know that I'll get around to like all the min max and the fighting and the gear and all that kind of stuff, but the story has been pulling me along the whole time. Like I'm been primarily focusing on the arcs and not necessarily like what runes I'm gonna like match in. I've only recently started to really take advantage of the combat and things like that. So that I think that's a pretty good testament to the story in this game is like how much it
Absolutely.
like kind of pull the mystery like pulls you along and you're like what is going on, like I need to figure out what's happening here. um
I think that's one of the things that surprised me the most, and a very welcome kind of surprise for me, because it's been quite some time since the AC games had that layer of mystery. Like when you start uh, Odyssey, for example, you knew who was like the who your character was. You knew who your final target was. You knew a lot of stuff since the beginning, or also even since the marketing campaign of the game,
mm-hmm.
if you follow. Origins a bit as well, not as much as Odyssey, but it's like, to me, it's been quite some time since I've found this level of like, there's like the idea, the concept of mystery permeates the entire game, from like tiny things like I don't know, in a like tiny side quests that compel you to get to know where they end up until the main story. And it's there's mystery about the main character. There's a mystery about the assassins of what they are attempting to do. There's a mystery about what's happening in England. There's like, every arc has this sort of like, it drags you, like you said. Like, this is super
Mm-hmm.
enticing, because like the past games had, you wanted to know, you wanted to see where the story ended up, but it's not like you knew exactly what was at stake. You knew exactly what was happening at any time, which is very clear. Can be a positive also to some stories. But for a franchise like AC, that is like one of the staples of the franchise has been like the mystery of this
Mm-hmm.
underlying war that nobody knew about throughout time. You know, about the assassins and templars, the first civilization, and whatnot. So all of these are mysteries, and have been since the first games. So seeing that this aspect is back, and in such a strong way, I'm think that's also one of the reasons why I think like hardcore fans will be drawn in to this game as much as the casual ones. Like even
Mm-hmm.
like standard fans, even just joining the franchise and trying the game for the first time, the franchise for the first time, you get dragged in pretty soon, even if you don't know anything about the game.
Yeah, definitely. Like you're 100% right. Like the whole dragging aspect, I kind of like that language. Like it pulls you through. If like that was kind of the main reason that brought me from AC2 to Brotherhood to Revelations to AC3 was like was the storyline with all of the Isu and all the stuff. Like what is going on with these apples of Eden? Like it kind of just it's this very much kind of like a movie. I kind of think like that's what I miss, because like I loved movies growing up and I liked video games. And what Assassin's Creed did for me was it kind of showed me that they can be one and the same, which is like you can experience a movie. And obviously the assassin I don't we can talk about this later, but like they did come out with a movie, but like um it doesn't have some of the greatest reviews, but that's fine. Um, but what I mean mainly is that like this is the first time I feel like in a long time. I mean, I kind of felt similarly when I played Origins and Black Flag, which was this idea that I'm an interactive player inside of a really well done movie. And then I feel like what happened with Odyssey was they really focused on like a video game. Like it was like we want to have like mythical creatures that you jump up in the air and you fight and dodge around, and you can see that reflective in like Immortals, Phoenix Rising, like the same people who
Yeah,
developed it. And I think like that game's going to be really fun to play too. But
I agree.
what I've really enjoyed about Valhalla is it has taken kind of like the best of both to a degree. Now it's not a perfect game; they're still cleaning up certain things, and it's not. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna say it's the next greatest thing ever, but I've just being perfectly honest, like I've really just been enjoying myself. Like the story's been pulling me along, the gameplay's been really fun. I don't know, it's definitely one of my, I'm really surprised at how much fun I've been having in this game. um
Yeah,
but
it has yeah, like I said, it has a lot for everyone, and in this case, yeah, like this level of mystery, like you said, it's I haven't, well, it was added to the franchise, especially with AC2 and Brotherhood, and when you get to know about the first civilization, and this long time war between the assassins and Templars. This feeling of mystery about not knowing what you're doing, but you're super interested because you know that there's something at the end, and there's like there actually is a feeling of like all the effort that you're going to put in the game will pay off,
mhm,
which sometimes wasn't the case throughout the franchise.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we'll have to see when we finish the game to see if we actually see that payoff. But as of now, even just the single arcs have their own payoff at the end, which
Mhm,
is really nice. So there's also this sort of like multi-layer of narrative in the game, which is something that was there also for the early game.
mhm,
Your own, you have the narrative arcs in the various regions. And they have their own compact story, but while you're doing that, you're also exploring Eivor's story as a whole. And while you're doing that, there's also like outside of that, there's the modern day, where the modern day characters, without spoiling anything, they are following Eivor's story. So, if I recall correctly, back in 2009 and 10, the developers had shared some sort of like a design document or something like that, where there was this drawing of an onion, and basically that represented the narrative structure of the AC games. And basically had like at a core there was like assassins versus Templars, um, within a historical world, and outside of that there was modern day, and outside of that there was like the first civilization through time, and there was like this. All of this is encompassing in various layers of the story, and it feels like Valhalla is having that as well.
mhm, definitely. Yeah, I've just been having fun in general with the story and everything about it. I just tried doing a really sneaky attack in a church and failed at it tremendously. I'm trying to get better at it. I did pretty well. I'm noticing though in this church that there is a lot of monks going around, so it looks like you can definitely use the monks to kind of
Yes,
get in and out without ever killing any of the guards. But I like the quick time assassination event, to be honest with you, because it lets
I love
you
that.
it lets you kind of build, like, going kind of more into the statistical stuff. It lets me kind of like build into the warrior aspect that I like to play, but then also put a lot of points into an assassination. So you kind of do get that feeling that you are kind of like this uh, pretty powerful Viking warrior or Dranger, and you're also uh, getting a more refined assassination skills as you go.
Oh yes, it's something that I was surprised to see while looking at the skill tree, because even just when I tried the demo in the preview events, that like when you're going through one of the branches of the skill tree, it's not like you have only buffs for the stats of that specific branch. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're going through the assassin branch, you can still have find, you know, melee damage or like hunter damage or whatever it's called. So there are skills that are obviously oriented towards that specific build of a character, but at the same time, you can still build your character also, like, you know, pushing other stats while you're building that sort of like profile of character. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it definitely plays back to what you said originally, which is that there's something for like every type of fan in here. So
Yeah.
I definitely I've been really loving, like, right now I'm trying to like get some sort of ability that's in this church here, but like the fact that you have to think a little bit more. Like, I've been really enjoying, like, it's not just run up to something and loot it and move on to the next thing. Like, they really break your train of thought a little bit. And I am getting used to the patterns now, but at the same time, it's been like 30 plus hours for me at this point. So like, at some point you are going to pick up the patterns. So like, they're not going to make this perfectly invincible, like, curiosity looting system. But I honestly been having a lot of fun with that.
Absolutely, I'm loving that too. Like, in again, I don't want to bash Odyssey too much, but in Odyssey, you felt that wasn't really the case. In that you went from, on average, you went from point A to point B. You did your stuff, or you cleared the fort and whatnot. In here, almost everything you have to do has to be planned or thought out, and at some in some regard. Even just entering a building, you really sometimes you have to find a specific way in, because you know, you cannot maybe get in from the windows, or you have to break a lock from outside from another window in the backside. And like you said, at some point you get a bit of the pattern as to how most buildings are, you know, developed, and so how you can enter them. But at the same time, it takes time, and you have fun in doing that. And also, when you get in there at last, when you get into these buildings, there's always some sort of reward for you, you know, thinking a bit of like how to get in. So like, now you found a skill, or it can be a narrative reward, like a document, or there's another kind of treasure, even just tiny amounts of resources that you can use to upgrade your weapons and stuff. Like, there's always a reward that is interesting and also useful for you, which is something that I don't think was always the case in Origins and Odyssey.
No,
and
it was pretty much like, roll up, there's some sort of legendary chest in a fort, and like, you just gotta get through it. And what's nice though is, with the quick time assassination event, is you can go into higher power level regions, and you can do these events really stealthily without having to like worry about if your skills or you have like the right gear at all. I mean, it definitely helps. I'm learning that the stats in the game definitely do work and apply. And at some point, me and our community, we're gonna find a way to break the stats in this game. But right now, it's about, like, kind of, for me, it's kind of like enjoying the game. I also did have you done one of the kind of like windy, feathery parkour challenge things? Have you seen that?
The ones where, like, the flying papers, where you get the tattoo at the... Yes.
Yeah, yes. And I did one of these in this city here that I'm in, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, I know it's just a tattoo at the end, but like, I don't know. I like there's been a lot of that in like quests I've noticed where you, I've just been.
I'm gonna say that, like, those are basically, they are parkour challenges, and parkour is one, like, probably the only element that I'm really disliking in this game. But it feels, at least to me, it feels much better now than it was in the the preview builds that we tried, because it felt much heavier back then, and now it feels lighter. And because of that, like doing these parkour challenges can actually feel fun. In that you have to follow these flying papers more or less like in AC4. Only this time they give you tattoos instead of like the songs that your crew sings while you're sailing. Um, it can get fun when you're doing these. Sometimes the responsiveness of the controls while doing the parkour is still kind of janky. But still, you can still have fun in those, because they're your. It's never obvious what you have to do. Like you have to follow this flying paper, but at the same time, it's a you sometimes you have to go through trees. Sometimes you have to go through lines and Roman ruins and whatnot. So surely they are diversified amidst themselves. So
Yeah.
kind of interesting.
From
Not my
I can see that. The part of the parkour that I've actually enjoyed it's the fact that like how much they utilize space inside buildings to do stuff in comparison. Like there's just been a lot of like upward movement and upward like mobility that like for I think parkour has like definitely been impacted, and I think it's because of like the time periods they've been selecting. Like the last 3 games have been in periods of time where there's not too many like close buildings or like very tight knit alleyways like you remember from like Unity or things like that, which kind of have like some of the best parkour in the franchise. So it's kind of hard, I feel like, and so I feel like working with like the Roman ruins and stuff. It's been better than I thought. I thought they were gonna just like cast it aside entirely, basically, and but
Yeah,
I was pleasantly surprised with it in the game a little bit.
I understand what you're saying, and actually that's true. Like in Egypt and in
Ancient
Greece, like
Greece, yeah.
yeah, always have like these like well in the series there were like they tried to put buildings close to each other so you could jump and like move roofs, but it still didn't feel like in Origins and Odyssey parkour was functional at best, and again it's more or less the same in that parkour, at least to me, it feels like a tool that you're using to reach a point, like to reach a destination, rather than a feature to enjoy doing for the sake of it, if that makes sense. While in Unity and Syndicate, for example, but also to a lesser degree in AC4, it was more about also enjoying just running around in cities and having fun and whatnot. You can still do that in here. I haven't seen any of the major cities yet, but like in some of the bigger villages, you can do that to a degree. I would say only in the specific paths that were designed by the designers, rather than having an idea of like going anywhere you'd like with parkour. But still, I do hope that like now to me it feels like there's like almost every aspect of the game has been improved from the last 2 games. Also the narrative, also catering to hardcore fans, like almost like it's like almost everything has been improved, seems to be better than the last 2 games. I think that the last feature to improve is parkour. Like that really needs to be overhauled is parkour.
And
And
there's a
then
good chance that like the next game we get from Assassin's Creed, there might be a new engine involved, which might expand upon that. But we don't know. We'll see. So I'm doing a raid right now. We might start looking. So if you guys have any questions in the chat, I know I've been stealing Marco this whole time. But if you guys have any questions for Marco or myself, we'll start answering. But in the meantime, while we wait, I kind of started to do a raid here. What do you think about raids? I know it's not super stealthy. It's not anything, but like, have you
I
found them
enjoy
to be
that.
fun at all?
Yeah. I enjoy trying different approaches to them. So I'm trying to do some of them, face on and attacking all the guards and see, because it's nice to have your crew where you're having fun and having fun while killing all the guards, but still, it's these are some of the best testing grounds for the combat system, the stun attacks, as you did a few seconds ago. Uh, uh, that's really interesting in that this is also where you can find different kind of enemies, because like they are there to more or less protect all these raid locations. And also you can do them stealthily as well, to a degree, because at some point you will have to start them anyway to get the rewards, because sometimes they are hidden between these doors that have to be forced open. And it's like, to be honest, I kind of enjoy them in general, and I enjoy the raids because, again, you're not fighting necessarily for the sake of it, but to gain the resources that you really need for the settlement. So you have a very, let's say, very meaningful reason to do the raids. It's not
Yeah.
just I'm going here because I want to do because I want to keep some guards. Behind.
Yeah, you just want to raid for the sake of it. There's a good purpose behind doing
Yeah,
that.
exactly. So
Yeah.
there's that, and also you feel this is one of the, let's say, pillars to feel the fantasy of the game. Like this is where you feel like a Viking. Some other aspects of the game are where you feel like an assassin. This is specifically to make you feel like the Viking that is raiding these locations in England to provide for their people. So it's not only to conquer, but also to work for your clan and your quote unquote family. So it's interesting in that regard as well. If you keep that in mind while doing the raids, that's another motivations another
Yeah.
motivation that puts you and the character at the same time.
Definitely. I noticed in the chat they're talking. I get this question all the time, and I'm sure you do too. But I'm still gonna ask you anyways.
Yeah.
Is the next setting for like an Assassin's Creed? Because you get in the weeds. There's a lot of we noticed. There's like I've noticed there's a pattern with Assassin's Creed games where they kind of suggest or like nudge or kind of allude to the next at least historic time period, even from like other Ubisoft games. Like the Division kind of had like a Viking person in it. Do you kind of follow that stuff pretty closely? And if so, like, do you have a guess on what the next one might be?
Say for what concerns AC, I think that the early games of the franchise had more hints as to where the franchise was going than the latest ones. Like Odyssey, for example, in its ending, in one of the endings, had Aspasia mentioning a philosopher king. So people were expecting to see Marcus Aurelius saw a game in Rome, and that was not the case. So recently, the AC games have not always, hinted at the new setting as they did in the past. For example, Brotherhood in its ending, there was Sean Hastings mentioning the Phrygian cap and the Masonic eye, and they were sort of like a hint to the French Revolution, and also to a degree to the American Revolution. So that was a hint to upcoming games, and this is something that hasn't been the case in recent games when that was intentional. In let's say unintentional situations, or sort of like unintentional situations, like what happened with the Division, and the Valhalla picture with the guy holding what seemed to be an apple of Eden. Um, yes, I'm following that because that's sort of like somewhat of a potential for news about Assassin's Creed to a degree. So that's something that we do at Access the Animus. I usually tend to not buy into this kind of stuff too much. In that, like even when we report that, we always say take this with a grain of salt, because usually it's very rare. This time it happened, but it's very rare that Ubisoft teases upcoming games in different franchises. That's, I don't know. It felt like that was not the proper time to tease a new game, and it felt like that was not the proper occasion to do that, even though it actually happened. The community woke up to that pieces of news, and okay, like now we're going to the Vikings, so we're doing Vikings now. But yeah, so I'm following that. Not always buying into that unless it's something that comes directly from a game or an official source within the franchise. That's more like my take.
That makes sense. A lot of people in the chat are saying AC China. I think that'd be pretty fun. With Ghost of Tsushima out, like that definitely showed like what a stealthy warrior like Asian type game could like really look like, and I think that's like a good challenge for Assassin's Creed.
I would like to see, as a lot of other people, I would like to see a game in ancient Rome. But like speaking of Asian locations, I would really like to see AC in Japan. Especially because of after seeing what Ghost of Tsushima could be, is, and so I think I would say there's more not potential, but possibility to have AC Japan rather than AC China, because AC has already gone to China in several different let's say releases, even though it was never a main game. To be honest, I mean, there are a lot of stories with Xiaojun. There are short movies, there are mangas, there's also a 2D game called Assassin's Creed Chronicles China that takes place in China. While Japan has been touched upon in some very minor mobile games and stuff like that, so there's an opportunity, I think, for Japan, especially with next gen consoles now. For China, there's a chance in that Ubisoft has recently upped their game in their partnership with Tencent, which is like this huge conglomerate in China that produces games in very so many different platforms, and so there's this huge partnership between Ubisoft and Tencent. They really are focusing on having AC products in China. Very recently, they have announced a manhua, who is basically the Chinese version of mangas, that is called AC Dynasty, and basically that takes place in that was in China in the 7th century. That's 100 years before the events of Valhalla. So there's a focus of Ubisoft and AC in the Asian part of the world. Now there's a partnership between Valhalla and a manga called Vinland Saga. So there's an episode of that where Eivor is meeting their main character. So there's there's a lot of this partnership going around. For now, it's only about transmedia products, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a game taking place in that area. soon.
Yeah. It definitely makes sense, like you mentioned with, I didn't know about those partnerships, that eventually it might come down the pike. So people who are looking forward to that, there's a good chance it might happen. Maybe nobody knows, but there is groundwork being laid there. One of my moderators, Dynamite, is a really big fan of you and everyone who works. Because it's not just you. That's one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning is Access the Animus is actually like a lot of people. Like it's your wife. Sorry, there's several people who all works over there, or like it's not even like work.
Yeah.
You guys kind of all donate some time to it.
Yeah, let's say it's not actual work. Like, there's a team. We are a team of 5 people at the time, and we come from different parts of the world. Like, there's me and my wife. There, we are Italians, but we have people from Canada, from England as well. Like it's interesting because like our team, it really feels like the message that you can find at the beginning of the AC games. Like, we have different culture, different sexual orientations. We have there's men and women in the team, and we
so
very
cool.
much work together. It's really nice, and it's a team that that we have formed throughout the years. We had people that joined us and then left the team. And now the current team at Access the Animus has been here for at least 5 years of our 7. So yeah, and we take care of different areas of the franchise. I usually focus on the news and the story part, along with Sarasis, who's another member of the community and also the Mentors Guild program. We might touch upon that later if we have time. And she's really a big fan of the plot of the franchise. Then we have my wife Sari, who is like our webmaster, and she is more interested in side activities and exploration, especially. Like, she's very good at. Like, when we tried the game in the preview events, like, she did all the exploration part, and like, she's very good at that. And we have Mathieu, who is our collector specialist. So we also take care of like the collectors part of the franchise. So all the various collectibles that are released, like with every game, there's so much of that, and it's so difficult to keep track of all of that. And there are a lot of people in the community who really want to try and collect all the various products of the franchise. Then we have Stefania, who is another Italian member of the team, who takes care of the translations of our content, because it's not only in English but also always in Italian as well. Nice. So we really try to take on the franchise and from several different perspectives, and trying to cater to as many fans as we can, basically.
Yeah, no, you guys, it's amazing. Like, a lot of the work you do. I know I sound like I'm just like tooting your guys' horn, but like your Twitter account and honestly your website too. Like, anytime, like, I learned so much about things I didn't, because like I got to do some of the preview events, and I've been trying to do my content and things like that, and podcasts, all this stuff, and you guys still always found something that like I didn't, and I'm like, oh my gosh, man, there's so much detail. It's so cool. But anyways, my one of my moderators, Dynamite, he is a big fan, followed you guys well before he followed me, and he has a question.
Oh man.
And the question is, do you think this new power level system will stay in Assassin's Creed, or do you think they'll start bringing the games back to Unity Syndicate? And then he puts in parentheses, please.
I would say this is going to stay. Maybe not exactly like this. I wouldn't expect, because now the games, the AC games, are really much focusing on the RPG and progression phase aspects of the game. So going back to how it was, especially in Syndicate and Origins and Odyssey, having like a level-based system means that you really cannot, you very much find it difficult to go to areas that have such a higher level than yours.
Mm-hmm.
I like one of the minor grudges that I might have with this game is that it was like fans were told that there's no level in the game, and that's true. That there wouldn't be any level gating, and that's true, but also to a degree, because
Mm-hmm.
in order to keep the progression system in place, you have to have different areas with different power level. So if you go to those areas and try to have a combat-based approach, you're dead immediately. The good thing is, as you mentioned before, that you can go in stealthily because of the quick time event. And if you're really good with that, you can take on like the harder areas. And in that regard, the game doesn't level or power level gate you. So surely it's better than it was in Odyssey and Origins. I wouldn't see them going back to the level-based system. Not anytime soon. Like maybe if they really find a way to make levels work within the progression system without making it like a constraint rather than something satisfying. Yes, I don't see that happening soon though.
Yeah, I definitely I agree. It's not it was kind of a cheeky thing where they're like, it's not a level system, it's a power level system. And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you're like, okay, all right, because it still feels the same. Like, because in Odyssey you could go to any region. In fact, like I went and like looted legendary chests that I technically wasn't supposed to in Odyssey, but I had to just dodge all the hits because you could get one shot, but you could like go and loot stuff in Odyssey. But it's kind of similar in Valhalla. Like the zealots are really higher power level than you are, and you can't assassinate them. And so
Yeah.
there's a lot of like yeah, there's still like definitely a power level or like a gating aspect to it, but they did
Yeah.
kind of give they did give us these skills that allow us to kind of bypass it. And like
Exactly.
the stun system, like I've been able to use the stun system in combat as a hunter and other things to be able to kind of fight much higher level power level people or
Yeah.
enemies. But so there is a few features that kind of combat it, but there is something to be said about like this is, as much as it's kind of creating something for like to try to replicate or like homage to past Assassin's Creed games, they definitely have like evolved. And I like the fact that I've enjoyed the evolvement. It definitely needed improvement, and I feel like Valhalla has definitely what am I trying to say here? It's definitely tried its best to become a new game, a new Assassin's Creed game, while not like completely eradicating the past or the history behind it. Because it
Yeah.
kind of can feel sometimes with these last three games that it kind of feels that not necessarily the developers, but maybe the executives at Ubisoft kind of feel like that they wish they could just turn Assassin's Creed the franchise into a completely new game that they can like market and sell. And it kind of feels like that at sometimes. So I definitely get that sentiment entirely.
Yeah, yeah. It's something that you can feel, and especially since this change of direction that happened with Origins, and I think that with this game, they are like the developers have, at least the developers have tried to still follow in that direction because that's sort of like an evolution for AC, but still, like you said, trying to keep as many elements from the past games, both to keep the newly found fan base that has been grown in the last few years, but also without alienating the long time community that has been there and has followed the franchise for a decade now. So I have seen a lot of, like, in the last few years, I've seen a lot of hardcore fans complaining, say, "Hey, I've followed the franchise for so many years, and like, why does it feel like the franchise itself is catering to new players and much less to me? Isn't it possible to cater to both?" And it feels like Valhalla is trying really hard to do that. Like, there's, like I said at the beginning of the stream, like, there's stuff for everyone. Like, you can approach situations in so many different ways that can all of them can be satisfying.
Yeah. Do you? I'll give you a little bit of a dicier question here. We'll get a little spicy. Do you think that it's possible for it to be kind of like for an Assassin's Creed game to serve all audience types, or do you think the fact that they try to serve most, that they end up serving none, and that Assassin's Creed should just like kind of pick a style of game that they want to be moving forward? Or do you feel like there is this magic game out there that like satisfies all fans?
I don't want to go. I don't want to put myself too much on the line, but I do feel that this game is as close as it can get for the current technology and possibilities that Ubisoft has. Like, I do feel like there is a potential balance within a game to cater to all the fans. Like, especially with this kind of game, like the old games up until Syndicate, they had like they were open world, yes, but they were within a still sort of like compact area. Like a huge city like Paris or London. In this case, now we're facing entire countries. Like, we have the entirety of Egypt, or most of Egypt, and the entirety of a huge chunk of Greece, and here we have in our last stream on ATA, we counted, there's like in the main game alone, there's 7 areas. Like, there's Norway, there's England, there's like the 2 mythological areas, there's Finland, there's so many, and having such huge maps, it gives the, like, if the devs, I think that the devs can work these areas to make them they can appeal to all kinds of fans. I think that Valhalla is taking, if it's not that golden game, at least it's taking the step in the right direction to provide for everyone. Both in terms of design and in terms of approaches, in terms of style and of gameplay style. For example, I found myself using the bow much more. This is like a tiny example, but in Odyssey, maybe it was just me not focusing on the hunter skill, like on the hunter side of the skill tree. But like, every time, even if I did headshots, it almost never worked, and I felt like I didn't want to, like that was a part that I didn't almost never used in Odyssey, and I'm seeing myself using the bow quite a lot in here. Like, I'm pushing myself, that I'm like I said, I'm a stealth player, to try all the styles, and I feel like that's something that will happen to other players that are focused on different styles.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you. My teasing feedback would be like, then you should have used a JordanDoes hunter build. Then you could have one-shotted a lot of people with your in Odyssey.
I should have. I remember starting to see your channel and all the builds. I started like towards the end of Odyssey, of the development of like the post-launch of Odyssey, that I started seeing your channel.
Yeah,
I should have. That was at the end of it.
I get it at the same time though, which is like for a lot of people, or there was, so my community, there's a lot of people who wanted to like min max and stuff, but for a lot of people they didn't want to be like, I shouldn't have to design and tweak my character so much to be able to like make sure a headshot is a headshot or like an assassination is an assassination. And that's what I really like about Valhalla is headshots are like critical shots, and they have skill sets to make sure like they land really well. Or you can just use the Predator bow, and it's pretty much a one shot on most characters. And then it's the same thing with like the quick time assassination, or even if you use the easiest stealth difficulty, all assassinations are instant kill. And
Yeah.
the fact that, yeah, I've just been really liking that like we can all play that it's less about builds for me in Valhalla, because everyone keeps asking me like what's the builds, and I'm like, there's going to be different weapons and rune types that have certain impacts, but it's mainly the play styles. Like I want to do like assassin play style videos, or like warrior play style, or like there's something for every type of player in this game. And I think that's pretty fun and exciting to kind of experience the game from all kinds of different perspectives.
And it feels like all of these, like as you like going back to the question that you asked, it doesn't feel at all like trying to cater to all these different play styles, all these different kind of fans. It doesn't feel like the game is underperforming in any of these specific approaches and areas, at least for what I've tried in these 30 something hours. So as of now, it seems like the game is delivering on all the aspects aside of parkour, but but yeah, it's almost for every kind of player.
Yeah, almost there. I guess like to kind of go back to like, I'll kind of share my thoughts. I'll preface this by saying I don't hold any of the developers at all, because like there's hundreds of people working on this game, and honestly their deadlines are really tight. Like we look at companies like CD Projekt Red and Rockstar, and they get to spend decades on video games, right? Or like a decade to like really refine a game, and I feel like Ubisoft developers are handed really tough challenges where they have like 3-4 year turnarounds to pump out, like you mentioned, like a huge map. Like we look at this map here, this is England, but the more I've traversed it, it feels like bigger than Odyssey. Like even though it looks like it's not, it kind of is, especially when you add in all the other maps like Norway and the mythical regions you were mentioning. And so like filling this massive world up with like such like beauty, content, all this stuff, like what they were able to get accomplished in like 3-4 years here is kind of remarkable from the developer's side. And like part of me then kind of counterbalances, like I wonder what kind of game we would get. I mean, they won't ever do this, I don't think Ubisoft will, but like if they just gave us like a couple years between Assassin's Creed games and let them really like pour themselves into the video game and come out with something really well refined, and like what that kind of game would look like personally. But yeah, you don't have to jump in on that one, but like that's just kind of like how I feel.
No, it's actually interesting. Like you can see the level of craft that there is already in Valhalla, and there's so many different regions. And I do agree in what you're saying about like going in this map. It feels smaller, but then again, if you look at that wolf, I love it. Like I unlocked it like today.
Oh yeah, the wolf is pretty cool. It's a little mythical, but I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Like what wasn't Darby's reason for it was like she's not actually riding a horse. It's like a hallucination or something.
Yeah. Darby mentioned that. Hey, yeah, that's like if people are not reacting, it's because of the Animus. And to be honest, I don't think that there was even necessarily the need for that kind of comment, because like usually the most let's say eerie kind of cosmetic elements. It's obvious that they didn't happen historically. They weren't there. Like the flaming horse obviously never happened. I don't think we needed a dev to say that, but that's a confirmation. So yes, but yes, it's like going back to what you were saying. I think that the map it feels bigger because like maybe Odyssey's map as a whole was bigger, but there was a lot of sea in between. So I think that in here, the area of the map is sort of like similar, maybe tinier, but like what feels different is that it feels like there's more variety to the game. Like Odyssey already had 7 biomes. It feels here like probably because the locations feel more handcrafted, but it does feel that there's like almost like, at least in my first 30 hours of the game, I never felt, hey, this village feels like the other 10 that I visited in the last 5 hours. Whereas with Odyssey, not at the beginning for sure, but like after you've played 30 to 40 hours, you already see the repetition of buildings, and especially the forts feel similar to each other at some point. Well, here I haven't felt that yet. It will probably happen at some point because like if you pour enough hours in a game, you start to see the patterns, like you said earlier. The fact that it's not happening yet is already a testament to the work of the person.
I don't mean to steal you here. I know I've honestly had a lot of fun. It's been like an hour and a half, so I don't know how much more time you have to spend on here. I'm not kicking you off. I just mainly want to be respectful of your time. But to kind of follow up a little bit is like, like after 30 hours, like I'm getting approached by new enemy types that I haven't seen before. And I am just impressed, again, not to toot the horns of the developers, but like that they were able to kind of fill this game up with so much stuff. And obviously they're trying to refine a couple of the bugs and stuff that people are experiencing, but that will be perfectly fine. It's going to be fixed in the coming weeks and months and stuff. But like there's like, like I literally, it's been 30 plus hours and I look at my progress and it tells me I'm halfway and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's just so much to do. And there's something new every time. Like I turn the corner, it's like a new enemy that has some sort of new ability that I have to kind of bypass. And I don't know. I know I'm supposed to be making content for this game. I'm still editing a couple videos, but like I'm really just been enjoying just playing it.
To be honest, and I think that it's also fine. Like you have worked on content for AC for so many months and years. Like I think it's also nice from time to time to just enjoy the game ahead of preparing content over the same game. So I think it's nice to also just enjoy the release and just get in the game, discuss it with other fans. I think that's
someone in the chat was asking about other mount types. If you go to these stables and aviaries, they've got a bunch of default. In terms of other like animals, besides, I haven't seen anything. I know people have mentioned bears because there's wolves. I don't know. I haven't ran into like a bear mount at all.
Maybe they will reveal them as pack for the store, as they did for Odyssey. As of now, I don't think they are in the game. There are different kinds of the Raven of Sunin. Like you can have Senu from Origins, from the Ubisoft Club challenges and rewards, and there are different styles to Sunin as well. Like this one, like
that's
like
from the Berserker. If you pre-ordered, that Sunin was. I like this albino. I'm gonna buy it. I've been trying to save my silver for other stuff, but I think I'm gonna buy the albino soon and right now. Because I kind of like it. Um, I
Yeah,
know this is just like a little cosmetic thing, but I kind of like putting some kind of identity to Sunan. I guess that's actually another little criticism I would put is like we have Sunan, right? But we don't
yes,
really like beyond like the beginning. I won't spoil it, but like beyond the beginning scene where you kind of see Sunan with Eivor, like how they kind of like meet. It's at the beginning of the game.
yes.
Like beyond that, we don't really have like much interaction with Sunan very much at all. Like you kind of use it, but not really. I haven't really been using Sunan to like do the game at all. Have you?
Yeah, not that much. To be honest, yeah, I it feels like it's something that I was discussing with my wife Sari as well in the last few days. I think they intentionally moved some of the focus away from the eagle slash raven in here. In that you're not using it to scout the location or to find a specific chest or target yet, like anymore. And that's fine because this plays into the Odin side slash Eagle Vision mechanic that a lot of people have been asking for. But that obviously removed features from the Raven itself. So in terms of gameplay, I do use it sometime when I'm doing social stealth, and I just like when I blend in, I just use the Raven to scout and see where the other guards are while Eivor is in a safe spot, let's say. But other than that, I only use it when there are some story like occasions in the story where you don't have like a destination marker, but you have like an area, and like in order to find that area, you can use Sunin to see this green targeted area. But other than that, I am not using Sunin that much, and mentioned earlier, there's not that much of an introduction for now, at least for what I've seen. There is a brief introduction, and at least for now, I haven't seen like in Origins and Odyssey. There's no, well, I haven't seen any explanation as to why, in terms of story, as to why this is happening, like why Eivor is seeing through the Raven's eyes as much as Cassandra and Bayek were seeing through their eagle's eyes.
Yeah, there's definitely. I'm not offended
yeah,
by it, but it is like an interest. I don't miss those features. It's more so for me is like we have this Raven Sunin, and we have like this. We can make them look different and all that kind of stuff. But like, I'd really like to know a little bit more about the bond between Eivor and Sunin and things like that.
Maybe it happens.
Maybe there is. Me and you are discussing this without having finished the game, so there might be someone who's finished it who's screaming at their computer screen right now, like there's something amazing.
Yeah. For example, at the end of Odyssey in the Atlantis arc, like when you meet, hope I'm not spoiling too much here, but like when you meet Pythagoras. There's a brief scene where Icaros, who is like Cassandra's eagle, goes to Pythagoras, and Pythagoras says something like, "Hey, old friend." So basically, there's a bit of story saying, "Hey, this is the same eagle that Pythagoras had a lot of years ago." So there's sort of like a connection between father and daughter, and then they had the same eagle and whatnot. But I haven't seen even anything like that in here yet. So, but that was at the end of Odyssey. So maybe towards the end here, there's more development in this bond. Who knows?
So I have a another question for you. Do you think Cassandra is going to show up in Valhalla at some point?
Uh, maybe I'm not sure whether I want that to happen or not.
But
Like, she was
I,
established
yeah, so,
in Odyssey, and as a character that has lived through time. So you would expect that in the subsequent game that she makes an appearance, at least to support this idea of her living through time.
yeah,
I would expect it. Also because the game still picks up the story about the staff of Hermes,
mm-hmm,
um, without spoiling anymore. But like it acknowledges what happened in Odyssey,
yeah,
in the modern. So considering the stuff is still something that matters, I would expect at some point to at least to at least have a reference to Cassandra. I'm not sure whether that's going to happen in the game or maybe even in the DLCs. Who knows?
yeah,
Um, I mean,
yeah.
that's such an important element that was introduced in terms of narrative with Odyssey. It would be strange not to see it being used during in Valhalla's narrative.
Yeah,
Not
I
sure.
mainly mean it kind of jokingly. Like I wanted to, I have all these funny ideas. I wanted to make a, kind of like a Where's Waldo page where we like sneak Cassandra into like screenshots of all the past games because like technically she's been
Yeah,
around for every single Assassin's Creed game up
basically,
in
yes. That's
up until the
two.
modern day of Layla.
Yes, that's around 2,400 years,
Yeah.
basically. So every AC book, every comic, every edit, everything.
So we just need to Photoshop Cassandra in a suit in the background of a lot of the different Assassin's Creed screenshots, and just for the memes. That's it.
Exactly.
That's pretty funny. Well, I don't want to keep you for too much longer. Is there any other questions anyone has for you, or if you have any questions of me or anything like that, we can kind of slow down and let you go here because I know it's getting later over there for you. Let's see here.
Let's
Um,
see.
there's a lot of what about the DLCs type questions. I don't know. We don't know much about that yet. It looks like we're just doing Ireland. We're doing
Paris.
Frankia. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Like, I'm a big fan. I love Ireland in general as a country. I've been there a few times.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, yes. I love Ireland as a setting, as a like the green that you see in Ireland in real life is something that
Yes.
you don't anywhere else.
I went to
So
my honeymoon in Ireland, and me and my wife absolutely loved it. We talked about how like if it was possible, like trying to like live there, because you're right. Like the green there is just insane.
yeah, it's crazy.
Especially like the cliffs of Moher.
Oh
Like what a beautiful piece of land. So
yeah,
in terms of like Ireland DLCs, like yeah, that's gonna be pretty. It's gonna be a little misty though, because it's got like a mystery, like a little smoky. It's gonna be like a little foggy greenness. I feel like is gonna be.
I think they're gonna play a lot with the element of mystery, the druids and the cults and whatnot. So there's going to be a dark, foggy aspect of it in terms of visual for sure. But there's also Dublin in the DLC, so there's also going to be a
Oh
more
yeah,
urban kind of environment as well.
that's true.
Hmm.
Will Bayek return in Valhalla because he is a hidden one? No.
Hopefully.
Bayek is long gone at this point, right?
In the actual game, No, maybe in some documents, who knows, but or in some cutscenes. But in like, yeah, I wouldn't see. I don't expect Eivor to meet Bayek in any
Oh yeah.
way possible.
This might be a little spoilery, but it's just modern day spoilery, which I feel like might be okay-ish. Did you listen to like the Desmond audio files at all yet when you
I
got to the
that was in the first session of the modern day. So yes, that's not a spoiler for me. I'm not gonna go too much into it because maybe it is a spoiler for people in the chat. But
Yeah.
yeah, there is a reference. There are two, maybe more, but I found two audio files dedicated to Desmond, and they provide a new and different perspective on
Mm-hmm.
Desmond in the events around AC3, so right before the ending of AC3, and it's very nice because you get more into what he was feeling at the time, which is not
Mm-hmm.
something that you see in AC3 because you play as him, so you see how he acts and how he reacts and how to people and how he talks to people, but you don't see what he was thinking of, like how he was feeling. And these two
Mm-hmm.
are audio files. They actually convey that kind of in a way. Like in AC4, there were some other audio files about Desmond that conveyed some of what he felt throughout the modern day narrative of the first AC games.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and yes, like I'm seeing in the chat, they didn't name a wolf Desmond. No, like this time there's an actual meaningful and significant reference to Desmond, and not a uh, I don't know what is it, like an Easter egg or like a
Yeah, you
sort of like a.
hear his voice. It's a obviously Desmond's gone, but you have like an audio recording, several of them, of
And it's
him.
actually voiced by Nolan North, who was the actual voice actor for Desmond in the early games. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I would love to maybe in the future we could do this again and talk a little bit more because I definitely have some questions about those audio recordings, but I don't want to spoil it for people.
Yeah, maybe we can
Um,
have this some more time
yeah,
in the
we'll
future.
give it a month or two, let everyone kind of play it, and then we can like have a better um, conversation about it. We'll kind of wrap it up here with like one more question, and then I'll probably just do a little bit of gameplay and showing off some combat here. But everyone asks this question: do you prefer Origins or Valhalla? I'll answer. I prefer Valhalla actually. So far, I don't know if you've had enough time yet, Marco, to kind of judge if you can make.
Uh, like overall, I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna say Valhalla. For now. In terms of world, I probably enjoy a bit more Egypt because I love Egypt as a country and the
Mm-hmm.
history that but in almost every other aspect, and I would prefer Valhalla. And I haven't explored enough world of England and the other areas to have a proper judgment. Plus, Origins has my favorite world in the entire franchise, so it's kind of tough to be beaten by other games for now for me. And it took Origins to change my favorite world, because after before Origins it was Unity. Like Paris is like an amazing playground and an amazing world.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like Origins changed everything for me in terms of exploring the world and what you can see and find, and the visuals especially.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna see about Valhalla if that can surpass that. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to judge this game mainly because like we haven't finished them is the first part, but like also, um, they're just they share a lot of similar qualities, but they are like kind of like their own game. Like I like each. If we're gonna just pick the last three games, like Odyssey, Origins, and Valhalla, I like them all for different reasons.
Mm.
Some more so than the other. And Valhalla so far has appeared to like take, for me at least, like my favorite parts of both Odyssey and Origins and kind of marry them together, which is making me lean towards Valhalla. But at the same time, there's still a lot of the game left to play.
Mm-mm. I agree.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, Marco. I stole you for about 2 hours here, so I really appreciate your
Thank you
time.
for having me. I didn't even realize it was 2 hours. Like
I know. It's just fun to like. Isn't it a privilege to like we get to like talk about video games and everyone lets us do it?
It's so nice to just sit down and have a chat. The two of us, but also all the people in the chat. It was so super interesting to share opinions just like that.
For sure. And I as always, go if you want. Like, if you want to know something about Assassin's Creed that nobody else knows, go to Access the Animus. And if you want any sort, especially once the DLCs and stuff start coming out, there's gonna be a lot of good details and juiciness on the Twitter and the website for them. So go check that out. Appreciate you, man.
You.
I'll let you go now.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me again, and I wish you a wonderful rest of the day or night, wherever you are.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. See you guys.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah, that was, I don't know, I feel incredibly lucky that, I don't know, I've just been asking creators if they want to hop on, and everyone keeps saying yes, so why not keep it going? Marco is, and the whole team at Access the Animus is a lot of fun to talk to. Thank you again, everyone, for hanging out. So what we're going to do now is I'll probably keep playing for about another hour or so. And I won't be doing any spoilery things. I'm probably just going to be like doing some wealth hunting. We'll probably, for me, I'm trying to find a way into this assassin, this Hidden Ones Bureau. It's been a really challenging one to get in here. So if you guys have any questions about my expertise with like what I've discovered about the gear, I noticed I didn't mean to ignore. Some of you were asking me build questions while we were going. I didn't want to interrupt Marco, because when Marco or anyone who is more knowledgeable in the game is talking, I tend to let them keep going, because I don't want to. I want to hear from them. Part of it was I really was just curious, like what he was doing. So, what is the best pack? So do you mean pack as in like what you can purchase from the Helix store, or do you mean like from gear inside the game? Because I've put it that is one criticism that I didn't really get a touch on with Marco, mainly because I'm gonna be touching on this in my like combat centric videos, is the lack of gear. Like, we don't really have a lot of sets to deal with. Like this set here, the Berserker, you get from a pre-order, so that kind of leaves you with like 30 hours in, you got like 4 or 5 sets to work with. The Helix store, so what I've seen from the Helix store, of all the packs in the Helix store, which was the one that, so I did study these, the one that I thought was, I think it's the Valkyrie pack that has the, so increased speed after dive of the Valkyries, and increased armor and attack. So with this set, after you use that jump ability, this one, maybe I'll show it to you real quick, it might let me just do it. This ability, you'll get a bunch of attack speed out of it. And attack speed, I think, is one of the best stats to kind of focus on. And so that's why I use this axe, is because this Varen's axe gives me increased attack speed. And what's nice about attack speed is when you pair it with stun, if you can see here, I put 2 stun runes on there, so I get plus 6 stun on this weapon, is it lets me like stun lock enemies, and so they get like bounced around. Might be a little cheesy, but it's part of the game. And so when it comes to the store, that one, overall, I've never really been impressed with a lot of the purchasable stuff. When we look at the Draugr set, increased attack when hitting a poisoned enemy, why I think that's pretty weak is because you still have to poison build up. So typically what you're doing when you have high attack is by the time you've poisoned an enemy, they're already pretty low health. So getting increased attack after poisoning someone doesn't seem super useful. There is the weapons though, which are separate. Like critical hits temporarily poison your weapon. That's not a bad hammer to get, and you can buy that separate from the pack. What that means is you can just like add a bunch of crit chance runes onto this weapon, and there's a good chance that it'll stay permanently poisoned if while you're using it. Increased melee damage when blocking. I don't find myself using the. Maybe someone else feels differently, but I don't really find myself like, even though I have the shield I'm using, I don't really use the block stance when I'm maneuvering. I'm mainly using it to parry with, and the reason is because this shield, which is, I'm not quite sure exactly where you find it, it restores some health on parry. So it allows me, because the whole healing part of the game, instead of chasing around a bunch of rations, I can just like engage a particular enemy. I don't know if you guys saw me doing it on the stream, but like I would just corner one enemy and just sit there and just parry them until my health is back up. Jordan, I want to make a fire or poison build, but I can't find any specific status effects gears or something. Is that possible in Valhalla? It is with runes. So if we look at the rune system here, we have poison buildup and fire damage runes. So if you upgrade your gear to where you can access more runes like this, you can definitely increase your fire damage. And then what you're gonna want to do is pair it with skills like battlefield cremation, which will, if you kill an enemy while on fire, it will burn their bodies and anyone walking around them. There's also an ability to turn, obviously, fire on. I haven't found it exactly, but there is a on parry, you get like your weapon turns on fire. Which one is it? Here, I'll find it in a second here. It's a shield. There we go. This one, the Bloodwolf Fine Light Shield. This shield, chance to ignite your weapon on parry. So if this is something I'll put into a more defined video, but if you pair this shield with like some other weapon, you'll be able to parry, light your weapon on fire, and then use the fire damage on it to deal a lot of damage. What are runes? Hey Mondo man, how's it going? And Anna, my beautiful wife, is also in chat. Love you. What are runes? So runes are essentially, I don't know if you remember the way to think about weapons and gear in Valhalla. We're gonna compare it to Odyssey because they're actually way more similar than you think they might be. Why I like the choices the developers have made for the combat and gear system in Valhalla compared to Odyssey is every single piece of gear in Valhalla, think of it as a legendary gear from Odyssey that has its own unique perk. So each one of these weapons, as you can see here at the top, it's hard for me to use the cursor to show you, but for example, this Oaken Kite Shield has increased range damage when blocking a ranged attack. Each one of these, like Odyssey, has a legendary perk. And then what the runes do, the runes are those passive perks that you've seen in Odyssey. So for example, Odyssey had assassin damage, and then it had like crit damage or fire damage. And what's nice is in Valhalla is the runes let you pick those slots. You get to pick if you want attack or fire damage or back damage or all these things, so you get to augment the gear as you choose. So that's why I think it's an expansion on the Odyssey system, because in Odyssey, you had to go hunt and roll. You had to find the gear. Like you had to. It was an RNG base. Like you had to keep. Remember, I made videos about how to find gear, how to loot gear, and like get the right rolls and things like that. And in Valhalla, we all have the same piece of gear we're all working with, which I think is super amazing. Honestly, because like tons of people would just ask me constantly, like, where do I get this? Where do I get this? And it's like, you got to just get lucky if you want that item. And now we can just slot in whatever we want in those spaces. And sorry, my eating timer went off. In combination with their legendary perk. Now, one thing that I can't show you right here because I haven't gotten enough material to upgrade it to the mythical status is there's a third rune slot, which is like a legendary rune slot, and it kind of lets you add another legendary perk. So for example, Varen's axe has increased speed after each hit, and if you go into details, it'll show you that in more detail over here. It lasts for 2 seconds and it gets you a bonus of up to 10 speed. The third and final rune slot is another one of these legendary perks. So JordanDoes found one that was like get health on parry. So technically if I got that perk, that would replace this shield that I'm using and I could use another weapon in that slot. So there is definitely going to be builds and playstyles in this game. You just need to save all your runes. What I'm noticing is there is no limit to gear storage, so you can. That's what I love. You don't have to go back to your ship to store gear anymore. All the gear just exists in your inventory screen, and it's the same thing with runes. Your runes, you can just fill this up with as many runes as you need. So when you look at when you go to the shop, I would advise you to not sell your runes right now. That's like probably the biggest thing that I would have to put out there is like save your runes, because later on you're gonna want to like use them and slot them in, especially if you're one of those people. Can we farm runes, by the way, or runes drop RNG basically? It's a bit of both from what I've noticed. Hey Leonard, how's it going? Gurgo, I've noticed you can buy runes from the shop, you can loot runes off of elite enemies, and you get certain runes from certain chests specifically. So it seems like they've placed specific runes around the map, but it also seems like they've allowed us to RNG loot runes from elite enemies. I need to confirm that though, because I have looted runes off of elite enemies, but I don't know if like that enemy it was just like a random patrol that I killed that I got one from. Oh, I'm about to die. Just sitting in the water. Aver can hold her breath pretty well. How to get runes? They're looted throughout the world. You can buy them from the shops, or you can loot chests and kill elite enemies. So I need to find out. This is the beautiful part about this game, is it doesn't just give you areas, man. Like, I've been trying to get into this assassin bureau. I wonder, do I need to like shoot those somehow? What am I missing to get into this bureau? It's behind that wall. Maybe it is underwater again. If you're idle, your raven sits on your shoulder. Yeah, it's like a good photo op. Let's see here, because it's so hard to see. I wish I could just permanently keep this Odin side on so I could see the contrast. Ah, here it is. See, look at this. It's a little crevice off to the left. Wow. All you got to do is just pay a little bit more attention, Jordan. You'll be good. What's interesting is there's an explodey boy right there. How do I get an explodey boy up there. Interesting. Are you going to do tips and tricks videos like Odyssey? Yes, I am. I'm working on it. So obviously, one thing you'll learn about me is like, I'm obviously on a podcast with JordanDoes, and I like it because me and him have completely different styles of content. He's going to get you all the quick tips and stuff out the gate immediately. I've taken a different approach with this game in that I want to like really know what I'm talking about. That makes it sound like I'm saying Jord does know what he's talking about. He works incredibly hard on all of his videos, so don't interpret that as what I was saying there. What I mean is, like, I don't know enough. Like, I know a lot now where I'm definitely going to. This is so weird. How do I blow this up? Man, this bureau is going to defeat me, man. I want to know more about the game first and kind of do these live streams and then record all my footage, and then I'm going to go and make my very precise tips videos. My biggest tip is if you're going to do a long jump, do a heavy attack at the end. So for example, if you're about to take fall damage, just do a heavy attack and you slam the ground and you don't take any damage. So that's a quick tip for you. I think I need to go under the water here. Yeah. So we got some sort of chest here. That's it? That's all we got to work with, huh? The grass is freaking out my vision. How do I blow that up? Because, like, so another tip is whenever you see rocks with, like, red around it, that's, like, an explodable thing. And typically you need some sort of gas or some sort of explodey boy jar. Yeah, what's nice too about this game is like the other part is like learning about the stun system. Like the other tip I'd give you is if you want to be focused on like the hardest combat difficulty and you want to really embrace the stun system, use the light bow. Don't use the hunter bow, the predator bow. If you're an assassin who likes attacking from a distance, use the predator bow. But the light bow, it gives you way more arrows, a lot more quick shots, and it lets you hit the stuns a lot quicker and easier. So if you're looking to get better at using the stun system, you can just like ping, 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 like hit the... I don't know if you saw me early in the stream. I was trying to do it. It's kind of hard to hit the stun spots. You haven't found the explodey boy is very useful. Yeah, they're very useful. Dynamite, where is the explodey boy in here? Do I look ridiculous right now? I can't find it. All right, let's get up here. Is it not here? I'm almost... Oh, I think I know what it is. It's behind... I'm so stupid. I explode it from behind. They were behind it, and you shoot it from behind it. You haven't found a predator bow yet? The predator bows, they're pretty cool. They're just too zoomed in for me. Like, it's really... If I played an assassin playstyle, I would use this. They've got way more damage. They shoot slower. So if you want to be a long... like a far away assassin... I would use a predator bow. But what I'm actually working towards, which is pretty fun, is this bow stun finisher. So this skill set, you can hit all their weak spots with the light bow and then do a finishing shot. So like for hunter players, I think this is going to be the best passive skill you can get, because you're going to be able to, from a distance with a light bow, hit all the stun locations, and then finish them off with the R ability. Whew. It took me a while to get here, but now I have the Hidden One's mask. I think I've gotten 3 of them. So I've got the mask now. Wow, that looks pretty badass actually. And then with the cloak. Yeah, I'll have to do like a Hidden Ones, but for now I'm using the Brigadier set, Brigandine Helm set, because it gives me increased armor when I'm around more enemies and increased melee damage around enemies. And the spike is insane. So look at this. If there is 5 or plus enemies around me, so this set I would advise to people who are struggling in raids or like large massive combat situations, because your melee damage jumps up to 25 the moment there's 5 or plus enemies around you. Which is a huge jump. It's jumping from 2.4 to 7.3 to 25 melee damage. So that's why, like, when you saw me in the raid, like, it takes me like 1 or 2 quick hits to like kill people. It's because of this set. Where's the dual heavy weapon skill? The dual heavy weapon skill is to the far left here. So if we go from the center, you want to go up and to the left 4 times, and you'll get there. Dual heavies are interesting. That's the other part about like builds or playstyles moving forward, is it's going to be a lot of like which combos work with which. Like I'm working with a very basic build. Like this build that's getting me through the game is it's mainly forcing me to get better at parrying. I made it intentionally so that I had to like force myself to get better at the game. And the reason is there's a lot of like combinations you can do, but I wanted to just kind of get used to light attacks, heavy attacks, and like blocking and parrying and all that kind of stuff. And so this has been a pretty classic or basic. There's a lot of stuff to read in here too. Oh wow. Yeah, so we're out of here now. I think we just got to go back over here to get out of here. Are the bows in Valhalla similar like origin? Yes, it's the same like origins. Have you tried dual shields? I have. Dual shields is kind of fun. It's a little goofy. Let's make it daytime so it's easier to see. Hey, see you, Leonard. Thank you. If there's no explodey boy, you have to use the explosive powder trap. Interesting. That's a good. I'll have to try that. Need help finding all the codex pages. Only found 1. I would look at see if any of the wikis have updated any of that information yet. That's the tough part about this game being so fresh. Is the fact that there is just, we're still all just figuring out where everything is. Let's go check out this piece of gear. I'm becoming a gear hunter now because I just want to see all the different perks. Where did you find that shield? Oh man, where did I find the Britain shield? Let's see if someone, I should have recorded exactly where I got it, because I need to put it on my website eventually. But Britain shield, AC Valhalla, all gear locations. Apparently someone's already done it for us, so that's good. Here, let me pull it up over here so it's easier for me to search for it. Let's do Assassin's Creed Valhalla gear locations. Let's see here. Britain? Is there... I just want to do Britain shield. Nope. No one has that one. Here, I'll help you. 1 second here. Does IGN have it yet? No. It's definitely, I think it was in, I'm pretty sure it was in, what region is this? Grantish Bridgeshire. So in this area, it's one of the very first arcs you get once you get to England. Well, that's a cool view from the fast travel. It is. It's a very beautiful map, for sure. I'm very impressed with the visualness of the game. Another tip is I'm pretty sure, so the game alludes you to think that these, you have to hit these iron before you loot them, because you need a lot of iron to upgrade your gear. But what they don't tell you is that when you're on your mount, you can just press E when you ride by them and it automatically destroys them. Oh no, almost slid down. I really appreciate you answering the question from the comments. Like, hey, no problem. That's why I'm here. What makes me enjoy games more is when I can help other people enjoy games more. I know that sounds like cliche and kind of douchey to say, but I do mean, you learn a lot more about the game the more you like teach or educate people. Yeah, so like right now I'm just in information absorbing mode, just trying to really immerse myself in the video game before I go and like try to claim to be an expert on it, because I'm technically not. I am like 30-40 hours in. I definitely know a lot about it now, but I want to know a little bit more. I almost died getting a comb in a freezing waterfall thinking I was going to get some what, and I got a massage that I could not see. Boo. I remember doing that mystery in Reykjavik, or like the beginning. Those mysteries are just so crazy. Like, they're just so interesting. They just keep your attention. I've never had that before. I've never like, that's the thing I'm most impressed with. Like, I'm doing things like this where I'm like gear hunting, right? But then like I'll notice a guy with like an axe in his head, or like a lady who's like singing and like chopping a tree, and you're like, what are you doing? And you like walk up and you're like, hey, what's going on? And then you get this like weird experience. Oh no, I missed him. It's okay. My wife would have been mad at me if I killed that elk anyway, so I gotta keep all the lovely creatures alive. Like this, for example. I'll give you guys a spoiler warning. This is not a main story spoiler. This is a mystery spoiler. But I'm gonna do it right now because I'm just kind of like curious what's going on here. But like, we've got this big pond and this very obvious tree that's telling me, hey, go for a dive. And so we're gonna go for a dive. Wait, is that like a legendary fish thing over there? We got some loot down here. That's cool. That fish was gold. See, this is the part, is like, I want to know this stuff. Like, is there legendary fish? You see that? Am I just like in a koi pond here? I don't know. Let's check it out. Oh, if I fish in this pond. Are there legendary animals? There are. I fought 3 wolves, legendary wolves at the same time. It was pretty crazy. All right, we might get a bite here, guys. There we go. There we go. Come on, boy. Bring it in here. Are you a special fish? What was that? A bullhead, small. Interesting. I think I need to go to the person on the dock. I don't think it's a special fishing spot. Oh, caribou? Oh yeah, there's all kinds of... There's even like a tiger somewhere. How did the tiger get to England? So far, the side content is really good and not repetitive. I dig it. Anyone want a tip? Read the notes. Yeah. Who's coming to get me? Alright, we'll turn up the... I'll turn my music down a bit, and then we'll turn up the game audio so we can hear this mystery a little better. I'm about to die, aren't I? Maybe might be a little too high. Lots of wolves. Hold on, let me get rid of these dang wolves. Alright, you turned up the audio a little bit. Read the notes. He says, fishing poem. Dewy day as dawn, poor Peter appears in the pond, hopes and wishes to see silvery swishes of fine slippery fins of fishes. Interesting. I think we might be fishing.
Who are you yelling at? I see no one.
My brother. He's right in there. A goblin turned him into a fish.
A goblin turned him into a fish.
He won't come out of the water.
I played Origins, but I didn't play Odyssey. Is there an important modern day that will affect me? Yeah. Yeah. The DLC in Odyssey really set the tone for the modern day storyline.
It won't be easy. He's mean and slippery.
Okay, apparently it is a legendary fish out here. He's mean and slippery. Let's ask.
You're no help. My brother is swimming around this pond.
Interesting. Apparently. See, this is what I mean, where it's not explicit. The mysteries don't tell you what to do. They just kind of like give you an idea of what you should do. What do you think? What do you think? What is the peak roll on a rune? There is it varies. So there's minor runes and regular runes, and then there's legendary runes. And I think the legendary runes are more perk specific. Alright. Apparently that's not the right fish. We'll get another one for the kid. Why does this kid think a fish is his brother? See, what is going on? We'll catch his brother. We'll figure it out. I think that it varies. I'll just quickly show you. We'll pause for a moment. Like minor runes are 2.4 attack. A regular rune is 3.2 attack. Like the minor runes, stun runes are 3. And I'm looking for regular ones. So I guess I would advise, like, at some point, if you have enough regular runes to sell off your minor ones, but just keep all your runes for now. You're going to need them. Does Valhalla have something similar to Sargon? Yeah. Yeah, it's called Opal, and it's actually Rita from Origin, so it's in the main. Once you do your first few quests in England, you go to your home Ravensthorpe here. Right at the very front, you'll meet them. And what's way better, I'll show you guys here in a bit. Let me do this mystery, go get that piece of gear, and then we'll go back and check it out. What's way better is there's no more loot boxes, which is really phenomenal. What they do is they take stuff from the store, like a weapon or a shield or something, and they make it available to straight up just buy it for Opal, which is the new Orichalcum. And I think like that's a way better system, which means like there's a way more likelihood of you being able to get the gear that you want from the store by just playing the game and getting Opal through daily contracts, weekly contracts, and finding them. His brother is proving to be really difficult to catch. Where are you? He's brown. He's got brown eyes. Do I need to go somewhere else to fish? Let's try this.
Look at all those delicious fish.
Look at all those delicious fish. So obviously the stash space for gear and runes limitless, right? Yeah, I haven't ran up to a limit at all. So I don't know. Being able to sell your runes tells me that you'll be able to get unlimited amounts of them, which I think is a really awesome part of it. I think Valhalla's gear system is the best. Way better than Odyssey. Way better. The only issue is there's just not enough gear. Like, I think it would be really cool if, like, maybe they did weekly missions and they dropped a new set or things like that for us to use. Because right now, there's just, like, look at this. I've only found one flail, and it has its own perk, which is kind of cool. But I don't know. I want to try different flails. I've got one hammer, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 shields, 2 dual heavy axes, 1 spear. There's just, like, not enough variety in the weapons right now for me to... And this is, like, over halfway, 30 hours into the game. So that is the one disappointing part. And it's disappointing because the system is so good. Is like, man, just, like, dump a bunch of, like, unique weapons on us. Maybe it is just hard for the developers to, like... texture them and get the right perks set up. So maybe they do have plans to add more. You'll get more good gear after the game is over. I get that. Like, that's definitely probably going to happen. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I'd like to have more options partway through the game so that while you're actually... Because, like, by the time I'm done beating the game, if I have all this interesting gear after, like, sure... I'm the type of player who's going to go back and, like, replay a bunch of stuff or, like, New Game Plus, things like that. But, like, I don't know. Like, at this point in the game where I've discovered this much of the map, I feel like I should have more than one flail at this point. I should have, like, 5 flails and, like, 5 of each weapon type at least or something like that. Can I sell weapons? No. The weapons are unique. They just live in your inventory. Imagine each one of these is a legendary gear from Odyssey. Yeah, I think Rita gives me so much gear in the future. That's why. That's a good point. When am I going to hook this fish? Where's his brother? His brother's wasting my time. I wonder if I need a fish in a specific spot. Did I catch his brother, like, before I did the mystery? I only cast from the dock? What happened if I bought something from the store? Will it appear in Rita? I think if you own it, it won't. Alright, we'll try this one more time. Otherwise, we may have to move on from this. Fishing is the most exciting thing to do on a live stream, right, folks? Are the Isu weapons OP? I haven't gotten an Isu weapon yet, so I don't know. I haven't finished that storyline. This is very curious because I don't see, like, bubbly fish around. Did I, like, get all the fish out of here? What's going on, kid? Where's your brother?
You're no help. My brother is swimming around this pond.
Wonder if I need to go swimming for it. What happens if I go swimming? Okay, there is fish in here. It looks like it's... Oh, right above me, right here. Alright, okay. We'll try one more time. Looks like you kind of got to aim towards the fish, which is kind of cool. I will put it out there. There we go. Come here, boy. Oh, we got you. This better be your brother. Is that it, kid?
Sounds like my brother, but it's not him.
I am not convinced at all that your brother is under a goblin spell.
Keep fishing.
Who?
I've got treats for you, Walter. Worms and such.
These wolves keep coming out of nowhere. Alright, I guess we'll keep fishing, because at this point I'm going to just stick with it. I can't, like, that's the thing with these mysteries, is I can't let this go.
Lots of hungry fish here.
Looks like a fish is heading towards my line. Come on. Bite it. Bite it. Bite it. Bite the freaking bait. Oh, he's like right there. Oh, you better bite the freaking bait, dude. Take the bait. Take the bait. He's hopping around it. That fish is trolling me, man. Stop trolling me. Go bite it, fish. What a troll. A troll fish. Oh, you... Yeah, you finally... What's cool about fishing is you gotta turn them in and you get runes. That's another way to get runes.
Another one. That's enough. Walter, stay in the bushes. We've got all we need. We don't have them yet, you pudding head. Don't call me names. Pudding head. Pudding head.
Did these kids just trick me?
Your brother looks pretty healthy for a fish.
We thought it would be fun to get someone else to do the fishing for us.
These little
So you
asshole
fooled
kids.
me.
And it worked. If you like, you could leave us the fish anyway. We'll swap them for brittle at the market.
Fine.
Walter, we got the fish. Thank you, stranger.
That was annoying, those little kids. They friggin' tricked me. I can't believe it. They friggin' tricked me, man. See, that's what I mean. Like, the side content has, like, it's not really like a thing. It's just like a weird, quirky story. Alright, we gotta be careful here. Gotta go up in the air. Alright, so apparently there is a piece of gear up in this tower. We'll go check it out. Hopefully it's something interesting. Trolled by a couple kids. I know, man. Oh, it's beneath us a couple meters. I thought it was up here. It made it look like it was up here. Interesting. So how do I get in here? Welcome to Valhalla, guys, where when you're hunting for stuff, you gotta just work a little bit more. How do I get in? How do I get in? Here we go. Here we go. Are you guys ready for this? And I'm in. Can you play evil and good like in AOC? You can. You have choices to be different for sure. But if you kill civilians, you get desynchronized. So there is a particular type of morality that Eivor does kind of adhere to as a character. But within that, you get to like kind of mess around a little bit more. Interesting. Alright, well, I got in here. The question is, how do I do that? I do need this key at some point. Is there a little theme song whenever you level up like in Odyssey? Yeah. It's like a... do you want me to do it? Interesting. There has to be a way to get in there. Jordan, did you pick automatic assassination or are you going to build up the ability? I'm using the ability. I don't think I have advanced assassination. I think I have just like regular. Oh, this is it right here. What did that do? I think it allows me to move it now. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Alright, what do we got? Oh, just the trousers for that Magister set. Bummer. Yeah, this set is kind of a bad set too. Increased melee damage at night. Additional increase in range damage. There's way better melee gear and hunter gear to like counteract that. What difficulty are you playing at? I think I'm playing on normal right now. I'll be honest. I'm gonna bump it. I've been playing on the hardest for certain things, but I mainly am trying to get through the game quicker by using normal difficulty to start, and then I'm gonna move up to nightmare. There's an ability in here. I think I've got the key. Sing it again, that's beautiful. Na 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 na. Vengeance of Thor? What? Where's that ability? Vengeance of Thor? Where is that? Is this the Vengeance of Thor? Vengeance of Thor, Vengeance of Thor. Oh, there it is. It's about to appear. Vengeance of Thor. Hold 1 to concentrate all your strength into an unstoppable attack. The longer you hold, the more powerful the attack will become. Interesting. So you kind of like charge up like a charged heavy attack, basically. Interesting. That's pretty cool. I'll take it. Alright, we need to get out of here. We've been killing a lot of Saxons. Alright, let's go check out Rita and show you guys that whole thing. Although I'm noticing I'm having some online connection issues, which is weird because I've got hardline internet and I'm streaming. So obviously not my internet issues. But we'll check it out and see. Jordan, what about Luna, by the way? Is she fine? Oh, she's great. Luna's fantastic. We also have Jackson. They're so much bigger now. We have like a backyard now, and they get to play all over the place. Dogs are loving it here. They love yelling at the mailman like all other dogs, though. Holy cow. Alright, so yeah, here's Rita. Although we can't interact with her because of the internet connection issues, which is a little bit of a bummer. I have to reset my game to do it, and I don't know if I want to put you guys through that since we're getting so close to me wrapping up the stream anyways. So we can check it out at a later date. What we can do for now, though, is if we go to abilities, let's check this out. Let's put this in my 4th slot there. So if I do, you just keep building it, and then you let go and it attacks. Interesting. That's kind of cool. See what it does to here's another tip or pointer for you. If you want to test things, over here these dummies reset. So this dummy here will always be a lower level enemy to you. This dummy over here will always be an overpowered version of your power level. And then this dummy over here will be super overpowered typically. And then I think this one's just always normal. So if you kind of look at the icon, oh, it's like lower level. So it allows us, so we can come over to this. Oh, although I want the pig to move. I might kill this pig on accident. Yeah, get out of here, buddy, unless you want to die. I'd move along. Move along, boy. What'd I just say? Oh my gosh. Alright. Whatever, he's gonna have to learn to... Get out of here! Scram! Alright. So if we do this, and then, wow, that took like most of the overpowered enemy's health right there. It's interesting. And we'll like a regular enemy. 73. And then a regular hit is 66. So it's about like a 20% damage increase. Interesting. That's cool. That pig looks sick. Yeah, it's because this guy over here tattoos him.
Eivor, good to see you.
How are you, Toby? Holding up?
Much better now, I think. I miss Sven every day.
Up,
And
up.
yet he is here with me.
Do,
His
do,
hook
do,
got
do,
infused in
do,
everything.
do. I didn't mean to do
Believing
this.
that, it helps.
Oh, whatever.
Glad
It's kind of spoilery,
to
but
hear
don't
it.
worry. It's
I'm
fine.
happy to offer myself as your first canvas.
Good.
Oh, man.
Let's get started. I have some new styles for you.
What have you got for me today?
Let's check out Fancy Hair Blonde. So I've got new face designs. Oh, that's pretty sick. I've been using the chin one. I kind of like, I don't like the eye. That one's actually kind of crazy looking. That one's interesting. Chest tattoos. We got a Mjolnir chest tattoo. Mjolnir arm tattoos. That's kind of cool looking. Mjolnir right arm tattoo. And then a Mjolnir back tattoo. That's kind of cool. And then for hair, I've been digging this hairstyle for Eivor, to be honest with you. This one's kind of cool. Bald Eivor is pretty badass. We got classic hair. This is the savage hair. Interesting. I had a fancy hair somewhere. There's a fancy hair. Where's the fancy hair? I thought I bought... Oh, I'm wearing the fancy hair. That's what it is.
Finished?
What about the Yoms Viking that you did? Did you tell Joe Raptor? Yeah, we talked about it on our podcast
See you
yesterday.
later, friend.
It was a lot
Until
of
next
fun.
time, Ava.
I'm giving awards away to anyone who recruits him. So if you find him, tweet it at me. That's the one thing, you know, content marketer marketing here. If you come across Jor Never Dead, my Jor Never Dead, you have to show that it was created by me and that you didn't stumble upon it. So if you go to
I
manage
would like to reorganize the crew.
crew, we'll look at it here. We've got Friends Yoms Vikings, Community Yoms Vikings. I haven't added. There's a Jor Never Dead.
Good for now?
When you recruit Yoms Vikings, it'll say who made
must
it.
be on
So if
my
you
way
send
now.
me that
Goodbye.
naked and bald Eivor dual wielding shields, yeah, that'll be the best. So if you come over here, for example, we see Yoms Viking here. This is created by Daniel XU422, right? If you send me a screenshot with this and Jor Never Dead, and if it's created by me, which is it's JordanDoes, you get a finder's reward. So have you built all the buildings? I haven't. I've actually just went on some raids, so we can actually go upgrade a couple. Let's go upgrade a couple buildings. I've got a lot of them though. I'm at like a level 4 settlement right now, I think. So we've got this one here. Let's see here. What does this give us? Assassin damage. Interesting. I've got a lot of raw materials. I can definitely upgrade a bunch of buildings here. I'm going to go check out all the building options first.
Look, it's Avon.
Hunwald and Swanborough's house. We'll give them a house. Ooh, I'm actually really close to getting a upgrade. I should probably do that. Can I do more than one Yoms Viking? Yeah, I think you can do like as many as you want. We could build this place. That gave us assassin damage. What does this one do here? Range damage? The cattle farm? There's no like melee damage? We got the stables. I think I need to make this guy a place in here. He's been waiting. This is the poet guy in the village. He's been waiting for a house for a while. We'll hook him up. Sure, he gets us assassin damage, whatever. Feast is a limited time health button, or limited time. I'll do one at the end of this. Oh, we're so close to leveling up Ravensthorpe. Do I have enough to upgrade another? We'll see if we can do the cattle over here. Tattoo shop. We got all kinds of stuff going on. Just need this one. Give this one a try. Assassin damage. Sure. Dang, we're at a village size now. Ravensthorpe. So we still have a cattle farm and a grain farm. So if we look at it, in terms of upgrade,
Survey the area soon.
we've got a grain farm to make. We've got... Oh, I should have did a brewery. I think I can still make the brewery. Let's go make the brewery. And then we'll do a feast after we do the brewery. So you guys can see what the buffs are. And then I think... So we've got the brewery
Be
and
my
then
eyes.
a bakery, cattle farm, chicken farm, Carrie's house. So we got 5 buildings to make still. What's the best build early? The best build is probably this Varen's axe, which is the first weapon you get, mixed with the House Carl axe, which you get pretty early in the game. It gives you increased attack after each hit and increased attack speed after hit. And then just pair it with either the pre-order Berserker set or use the default Raven set that you get, the Raven Clan set. It's fine. It works really well. But eventually shifting over if you want to do warrior stuff, the Brigandine set, which you get from like some of the early quest storylines, going to those regions, those early regions. Alright, let's get the brewery going. Get some ale. We can't throw a feast without a ale. It's like walking around a Renaissance festival. Yeah. Can I buy anything in the brewery? Or is it literally just like... It's just the buff, huh? I think I have enough raw materials to do another upgrade. Let's do the bakery. That way we've got some good food, some good ale. Yeah, we got this one left. Obviously there would be a feast at a brewery. Yeah, we just build a bakery and a brewery and we're going to throw a feast.
Your bakery is done, Tarbin. And our feasting
How long
table
did
will be warmer for it.
did you finish from the story?
Kind of. I hope one day
I have not finished
You
the
are
main
among
story.
friends
I'm
here.
about
There is
halfway
no
and I'm
need.
30 hours in. And that's with me primarily focusing the story. So that's what I mean, like when if you weren't here when me and Marco were talking, like this is a much bigger game. There's a lot to do.
There was one more thing though, if you had a moment. A grain merchant is set up downriver. I want to bring a half-dozen bags home, but I would need an extra pair of hands.
Sorry, Tarbin, I'm not gonna help you out.
I
I'll do it
cannot
later.
help now. Maybe later.
No rush. Just let me know.
I'll help you in a bit. We're gonna go do a feast. There's also, we can change like the style of the tree and stuff. Do I have any other tree options? Let's see what's here. Oh wow, I've got a Roman horse statue, an Odin wood statue. That's kind of cool. I'll put an Odin wood statue right there. Yeah, that looks kind of badass. And then we're doing decorating with a berserker's tree or a hangman tree. The sage tree looks kind of cool. So this is the early access, or not the early access, the pre-order tree. Ooh, looks a little creepy to be honest with you. I kind of like the sage tree, to be honest. There's a bunch of those in the store too, though. Man, you guys, you found your. Let's see here. Where's the property? Is what it's called. Look at the uni ship. Kidding me? Uni ship. Oh my gosh. Settlement trees. Here we go. Valkyrie settlement set. Interesting. So you can... Oh, you can make it look kind of undead-like. Interesting. Ooh. The blue tree? Hell yeah, man. You get 300 free Helix credits. I'm going to use it on the blue tree, man. I don't care what any of you say. Should have saved it for like a weapon or something, but wow, that's kind of cool. I like it.
I need your eyes, my friend.
That's kind of cool. All right, we're gonna do a feast. What's the most important thing to do in the settlement when I start? The gear guy, the Seer's hut to get access to the mythological realms. And then after that, I'd say like the fishing and hunting, because you need like a fishing rod and things like that. But start the feast. Look at this. I'm going to get 25 health, 50 health, armor, and a bunch of assassination damage. It's going to cost me 60 silver. I've honestly never done a feast yet. Morale boost. Whoa! Whoa! Cartography gives us some cool gear locations. Yeah, it's not necessary to get the cartographer, but if you're looking for... Alright, so now we have a buff. Does it say if... Yeah, right here. Feast boost. For the next 3 hours, I'm going to get a bunch of health bonuses and things. That's pretty cool. I'll show you the cartographer. Oh, also the Hidden Ones Bureau. You want the Bureau built so you can do those missions. Alright, let's talk to the cartographer. I think I already bought...
May I see your stores?
All these things in here are things you already can just like find. So you don't really need to buy. Like I bought all the gear maps just so I could see and track down the gear real quickly. But you don't need to do it.
So long.
Keep exploring.
Like, yeah, I mainly just bought the gear one. So for example, like, look at this, Jorvik. There's like, this has to be a set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of gear. There's also one here, one here. So I need to go gear hunting, which is probably what I'm going to do after this stream or later. But yeah, all in all, I want to start to wrap down the stream, guys. So I really appreciate you hanging out. Again, thanks to Marco for showing up and chatting with me. I feel so lucky that I've been able to convince so many infamous AC content creators to come hang out with me and chat. So I've been really enjoying it. Hopefully you guys have been too. If you have any feedback or questions or anything like that for me, please feel free to send it to me on a Discord. Message me whenever you guys want. I really appreciate all of you guys. I'm going to save my game real quick, and I hope to see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. As I do all the transitions. Okay. Go ahead and click that one. Perfect. Now, mute your mic. Turn the audio up. Play the outro song. Bye.